Hello there, Rabbi.
Hello, Joe.
And it's lights, camera, action as we talk about movies and how they influence our perspective on reality sometimes.
Truth, justice, and the American way. That's going to be our theme today.
We're always looking at history through the perspective of the movie that we saw, whether it's about Scotsmen fighting the English or cowboys fighting the Indians or Indians fighting the cowboys for that matter.
Sometimes it's harmful, sometimes it's neutral. What I want to get across is that we have to be aware and alert that the media is there to entertain us. Even though it might say this story is based on a true event, or some of the facts have been changed to protect the innocent, whatever the disclaimers that our attorneys tell the cinema people to put on the screen, and now on the TV we see all kinds of disclaimers in small white type you can't read, but I digress. No matter what we do, we have to remind ourselves that what we're watching is not historic fact. And it creates a problem because when I talk with people, when I teach classes, people will bring something up and it's just not true. It's not supported by facts. It's great entertainment. And it may have some facts sprinkled in. However, you have to stop, and it's very difficult for me to think of the Alamo other than Fess Parker. It's difficult for me to think of the Second World War without John Wayne. And so you have to actually be conscious of the fact that it's entertainment. And during particular times in our history, movies were made to project a certain social image, a morality. And as such, it's not historic fact, which is fine. It's entertainment. As an aside, Joe, we make the same mistake with television commercials. Television commercials are there to sell a product. They're not there to give us information so we can weigh our choices. They're not there to be honest or factual. They're using the media to get us to spend our money on their product. And we sometimes forget that, and we will say things that we saw in a commercial or saw in a movie as if it was factual. And that would be fine, except many times it's hurtful.
Well, in the case of advertising, as Caesar once said, caveat emptor, but we all fall for ads now and then.
Yeah.
And that's fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. But when people start believing the movie version or the advertising version of
Yeah.
of reality, that's where the real problem starts.
Exactly. And when I'm teaching, particularly on history, whether it's religious, whether it's secular, it doesn't matter what it is, and I get into discussion with someone, that's when I thank Google and the ability to research, to go online and say, let's see sources. Let's look at, instead of my telling you something, let's look at the event and let's look at the historic record. Now, there's a B part for that. We have to see where we're going for the historic record, because we don't want to go to sources that are supporting a legend or a myth, but rather we want to go to something that's academic, that's neutral, that's not trying to support anything. Here are the documents. Here's what happened at the Alamo. Here's what happened when the Pilgrims arrived in North America. Here's what happened when Columbus arranged for his trips. And we can keep going that way. And there are very good sources out there, which brings up a secondary problem, is people go to sources that support their view, but they're not historically accurate. So now we're caught in another kind of a loop. And often with movies, people will not believe, will discredit me. Oh no, that wasn't the way it was. I saw it in the movies. You're wrong, Rabbi. And at that point, I shrugged my shoulders because what can I say? how can I compete with Cecil B. DeMille? If this is what he said happened in Egypt during the Israelites, who am I to quote scripture? Who am I to quote the Midrash or the Egyptian historic record? What kind of a nerve do I have? Because Cecil B. DeMille knew the truth.
But isn't it always such a bad thing? I mean, do we always have to accept reality over the legend?
No, nothing in and of itself is truly good or bad, Joe. It's what do we do with it? When we use the movie and the legend to suppress people, to take away people's right to vote, to suppress opposition, that's when it becomes bad. In and of itself, it's neutral, it's entertainment. Here is the story of the American West, how we won the West. This is the story. Okay. However, if I believe that's how a man should behave, and I abuse my partner, I abuse other women, and I support legislation that abuses women, I deny women rights like we see in Afghanistan right now, then no, it's bad. So I think we can step back and take a look at what it does to us. If it makes us kinder to each other, if we turn the other cheek, if we do unto others as we would like them to do to us, there's all kinds of great ways it's positive. And so therein lies the way it's to be judged and valued. It's what does it do to our actions? How do we treat each other?
So there are a million stories in the Naked City. We just have to choose which one we want to follow and be cautious about which one we make laws and rules about.
Exactly, Joe. Does it lead to the greater good for the greatest number, liberty and freedom for all? Or is it just an excuse for me to put down and suppress somebody else?